Stewart versus Zach. Stewart's on Goryo, Zach is on Prowess.
Okay, so right off the top, this Goryo's version has very few creatures. Very few.
The track says
So,
like a Frog,
essentially,
Solitude,
yeah,
Grizzy.
two Grizzlebrand, 3 Falahi, 4 Frog, 4 Troxa. So essentially, it's just raw attrition. There's no spice at all in this list.
It's just doing the plan.
It's just game plan and a ton of disruption. So that's what he sacrificed for all the flexibility slots. He has prismatic endings and Thoughtseize in the main, and force negations. So hopefully the colors line up. But Atraxa is obviously a pitch spell to all these multiple cards.
Yes.
On the spice.
The only spice that I saw is that Zach's on good old Sprite Dragon.
Yes, I was about to say.
Sprite Dragon's bad.
I don't think I've seen Sprite Dragon in
A hot minute.
pre-MH2.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
remember
last time
seeing
I
it
seen-
pretty popular when it was first released. I think that was when they were still on what was that Prowess Dragon that got reduced to cast 2 spells?
Oh, it was the Stormland entity. That was from
Yes.
the core set.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, bird. The
Hey man, that guy was good.
the poor man's Murktide. I mean, it did for Murktide,
It didn't
like,
die to Fatal
half a
Push.
year
It
later.
didn't die to Fatal Push, and it didn't die to Lightning Bolt.
Yeah,
Okay, like
yeah.
I just don't know what else you want.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
playing a good number of games where I had to displace that thing to stop it from attacking. And they got to
Yes.
scry 2 every time, and it was so bad.
I think this Prowess list is probably stronger than we give it credit for at first sight.
'Cause, I mean,
There's
it's
no
currently-
slick
it's-
shot show off.
It's really upgraded. It's got Seal Cutter.
Yes.
And so they've instead of show off, they've gone with the other flyer in the form of Sprite Dragon. So
I don't know how that's going to
They-
impact the fair matchups, but I think the matchups where you want to race, it actually may impact you. So, in my opinion, I don't think it's actually going to matter that much in this situation. But say in a future round you play against something like Amulet Titan, I think that's when it's going to really matter.
yeah.
So let's see how this ends up playing out. It looks like we're taking a mulligan.
Yeah, we can go big screen. Yeah, looks like Stewart's on a mull, or no. Maybe Zach's on a mulligan here? No, they're both good to go. So
Okay,
they're
perfect.
keeping. Just think about their mulligan decisions quite a bit, but they're happy with their choices. And here comes Swifty for the 1 damage right away.
You know, there
So
a few
good.
Wednesdays ago at Ogre's, I played that exact line of play and then I lost the following turn.
You at Land Swiftspear and then lost?
Yes, yeah,
That's
I played
so
against
sad.
Mono Red Belcher.
Yeah,
I
that'll
was
do
like,
it.
Swiss
That'll
your go,
do
and
it.
then I proceeded to lose the game. That's all right.
Another 1 damage, sir?
Another one. Okay, so there's no
Oh, no.
added disruption.
Little
here.
extra here. Whoa!
All right. Well,
double growth.
hey, well, here's a poker hand.
Yeah.
So I think no blocks have been declared.
Yeah. It is also very funny that I'm very used to these kind of high stakes tournaments, like people doing the like order of operations very step by
Yes,
step,
yeah,
of being
yeah.
like this, then this, then this. But no, Zach's just
I'm
like
just gonna show you what you
2
what you
mana,
got.
Blanc. Here's my
Yeah,
3 cards.
Yeah.
What do you got?
These lightning bolts deal
You know?
4, and this mutagenic growth deals 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So like, what would be funny is if Stuart had like main deck Flusterstorm.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, like immediately punished for the just like, here's 3 cards. Like, okay, counter the ball.
Yeah, consigned memory doesn't stop that.
Consign
yeah.
doesn't stop that. No, it has to be Flusterstorm.
Consign just keeps people
But
honest. Here you
all
go.
of a sudden, Stuart's at 6.
Yeah.
He went from 19 on turn 1.
Yeah.
So Stuart, no permanence play goes to 19. He plays fetch land passes.
Yeah.
He gets back to his end step to fetch for Surveillant. He's at 6.
Yeah.
Just
Well, you know,
I mean, it's very funny.
Well,
yeah,
hopefully
how
this
fast,
Undercity Sewers ends up becoming Entomb, and we just flip a Trax into there.
Yeah, just shows
See,
the
at this
Trax.
point in time, I think Stewart should just put the card in the bin, just like it didn't even matter. But like, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Like if it's like, is he on like prismatic ending? He
Yes,
is.
there
If
are
it's
multiple
ending,
prismatic
like,
endings and solitudes. Yes.
Like, if you have to fetch shock to play ending to get your white source, like, okay, he did keep it. Looks
It
like
was a fetch land, yeah.
Yeah, it was a flooded strand. Down to 5 on Stuart's turn 2, the second turn, starting at 5 life. Just a casual
single digits. It's not a big deal.
single digits, yeah. All right,
Well,
no white source.
It seems like the white wasn't the priority with this fetch. So my assumption is Psychic Frog.
Yeah, just play a froggy.
Because if you had Falahi Archaeologist, you would find the planes anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, in my opinion, this is a Psychic Frog play.
Yeah, there's Froggy. There's the Froggy.
So now we're hoping. Well, Violent Urge actually doesn't seal the deal either. So this will be a chump block. Probably just discard a Traxa.
I mean, depending on how big this Swift Spear gets. Okay. The Swift Iteration, while bad, is good for Stewart because it means he's not just dead this turn.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. I don't know if there's a combination of cards.
Unless there's Mishra's Bauble and
Mishra's Bauble land.
or just something to like uptick on the Psychic Frog combat.
I mean,
but if there was even land on Holy Heat doesn't do it. So because we're still one off from Delirium.
Yeah.
So there would have to be fetch land, Unholy Heat, Mishra's Bauble, for example, just to be able
exile
to.
second iteration. Interesting.
All right. So it looked like there was a lot of clunkers in that expressive iteration. Yeah.
I mean, you snap block this, right? You have to.
I don't think there's a choice.
Yeah. But now it's how hard does Stewart fight for?
You don't. You just discard a Traxa. Yeah. Yeah. You
Just
discard a Traxa and then let your opponent. I would even bounce these creatures if Stewart's hand permitted it, but I would be inclined to say no.
Discard again. Go late to dinner. So try to force some action now. From Zach's
force some
side.
Eugenic Growth, and that would be another 3 cards. The only one card that matters would be Goryo's Vengeance anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So. All right, now show us Vengeance.
So there was
started late to dinner there.
So there was no land.
No.
There was no land in the expressive iteration. There was no Mishra's Bauble. There was no Mutagenic Growth. There was
no. So it
nothing
must have
else.
been a pretty terrible expressive.
Yeah.
So those 3 cards must have been pretty bad.
Yeah.
But going to 4.
Well, so this is the difference between modern and other formats. There's no price of progress, so board state matters way more in modern.
It does.
And fetching a basic, just respecting the potential output damage that could exist. Like, we know that the Prowess list does not have Slickshot Show Off.
Yeah.
We just know that there's a Sprite Dragon, but Stewart does not. Stewart has seen nothing except very common cards that you would see out of this.
There's
anyway.
Goryo's, and I mean, funny enough, this game might now be over. I mean, you got the planes. That does tell you that he probably has Ephemerate already in hand.
Yeah.
Which means the Trax is going to stick around while also putting him to 11.
Yeah.
I think there's a Prismatic ending, a Solitude, another Solitude, Grizzlebrand, Goryo's Vengeance.
You're really going to pick Grizzlebrand? I would pick Solitude here in a heartbeat.
I think Grizzlebrand having 7 lifelink is potentially better than. So if you pick Grizzlebrand here, you don't attack with Psychic Frog.
Yeah.
And then you keep Psychic Frog as a potential blocker.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess at this point, not taking Ephemerate, obviously telegraphs, he has Ephemerate.
Yes, yeah.
But I'd be inclined to pick Solitude as like a panic button, in case
I see,
Zach somehow goes land,
Yeah.
haster bunch of prow triggers, bolt burn damage kind of thing, right? And then worst comes to worst, you can Solitude the threat, or you can Solitude the Trax. Just get another 7 life, right?
Yeah. It's
I
still
mean, like-
highly unlikely that there's 11 points of damage in Zach's hand, but yes, yeah.
But going in with the frog as well. So gonna end up ephemerating a Trax, I believe, and having this as your blocker. But the reason I'm not really afraid of Solituding minor Traxa is that like Frog at this point can solo the game.
Yes, that's
you
true
don't
as well.
really need, right? The I think the best part of Attraction right now is the 7 life game. Right, smacking for 7, gaining 7.
Yeah,
Showing at 11.
I think that's why Atraxa has actually just been so popular as a reanimate target.
It's a bunch of value, and it stabilizes your life total.
It hits multiple axes, and it makes any one of those axes detrimental against a specific deck that you could be playing against.
Yes.
Like control, it's like, for example, oh, I got all this card value. Like,
Yeah.
Like, Zach doesn't care that there's 4 more cards in Stuart's hand. There's no point about that.
No. Yeah, Stuart was sitting at like 10 cards and having to go discard. Like, irrelevant. effectively. Yeah, don't need that other Attrax. Don't need that. Doesn't even need. Wow, he picked those men off the first Attrax. It doesn't even want it. But I guess, you don't really want Guzman in hand anyway, so all part of the plan. But,
Instead of discarding hand size, might just discarded a frog.
Yeah, that makes way more sense, actually. I totally need to do that.
Yeah. You ever see those blue-black Necro Dominance decks with Frog? They're very fantastic. That's game 1. All right, okay.
All right,
so,
Stuart already
even though Zach put the pressure on, he couldn't keep the gas flowing, and then Stuart ended up finding an avenue.
Well,
yeah. That's modern.
That is modern. That's modern. Right? How, like, if I told you that my opponent had 1 land in play and was at 6 life, you would think they would lose for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But yet here we are.
So
literally flipped
sideboard. Sideboard. Okay. So on the Reanimator plan, we have some weird ones.
Yeah, I mean,
so there's Ketramos, and I don't know.
Ketramos is spicy. I guess that's for if you're playing the long game. And actually, what I like about Ketramos is that it synergizes with the greater hit that your opponent is going to be bringing in.
Exactly.
Right? It enables, right? Because like they're bringing in, Silver Lantern, Relic, Rest in Peace, that kind of stuff. And if you play Ketramos, they're like, oh fuck. Like,
so the opponent on the Prowess side has 2 copies of Soul Guide and 2 copies of Surgical and 2 Spell Pierce.
So he's probably bringing all those in.
I would say all 6 are coming in.
Yeah.
I don't think it's close.
No.
I think Lightning Bolt and Mutagenic Growth can just go to the wayside.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I saw. Yeah, he has a copy of Unholy Heat. Like,
you can take with that one of those.
Right, that doesn't even.
Lava Dart is just more net damage when there's more creatures on board.
Yes.
Lightning Bolt just only has 1 mode, which is unfortunate, and Violent Urge has way more upside than Lightning Bolt.
Yeah.
So it depends if you want to ruin your level of consistency.
Yeah, like how do you feel about cutting cantrips in post-cyber?
If there was a cantrip to be cut, it would be Expressive Iteration.
He has 4 preordains.
Yeah.
Right?
It would be Expressive Iteration in my opinion.
It's a little too slow, mid-rangey. Like you have to.
You're just trying to net more damage based on your CMC.
Yeah.
Like I don't suspect the Reanimator deck to be bringing in Chalice of the Void on 1.
Right.
It seems unlikely to me.
Yes.
So I wouldn't be doing that. And of course, like we have open deck lists, but like these players are obviously playing in the blind.
Yeah.
But historically, these decks do not run Chalice.
Yes.
So I would cut more expensive and restrictive cards first before I would cut anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But in my opinion, Lightning Bolt I always just find like very unfavorable in this. Mutagenic Growth is better than Lightning Bolt, but I just don't see that many cards to cut. The Unholy Heat, I wouldn't mind keeping 1 to 2 only for the side potential of my opponent has a Psychic Frog.
True.
Like,
getting Delirium online and being like this.
Yeah.
Almost always kills Frog regardless, right?
Yeah.
It's not bad.
It's almost an experience-based thing, and especially like if you have experience playing against your opponent like weekly events, like you would gain some level of advantage.
Right. There is the value that your creatures are actually dealing the most of your damage.
Yes.
Not your spells.
Yes.
So you have to remove blockers.
Yes.
To get them through. Where Unholy Heat actually deals more damage than.
It's the old adage of old burn versus Tron. It's like, why did you side in Path? Because it's more net damage than any burn spell against their Worm Coil.
Yes.
Right? Like, it's that type of mentality,
Yes.
except to a more restrictive kind of sense in today's
Right. It really
version
does
of
look
Modern.
like where, like, if Stuart had Frog out and, Zach has, like, the Bolt, Mutagenic Growth, right? Like, you can still do that same play, but then Stuart's, like, blocking, like, 6-7 damage with a single card.
Yeah.
Right?
But if there was an Unholy Heat plus the Mutagenic Growth and a Mishra's Bauble, for example, like you actually still have the same net damage.
Yes.
Right? Like that's the type of mentality you sort of have with Prowess. It's like, how fast do I need to be versus how fast is my opponent going to restrict me?
Yes.
Like, and that's actually going to be the question about Stuart's sideboard here. 2 Wrath of Skies, 1 Pest Control, 2 Fatal Push. I think all those just easily come in.
Yeah.
I think the only concession that you may or may not make is Ketramos. Is this a fair enough matchup on Stuart's perspective to side this card in
Yes.
to close the game out.
Yeah, it's close, right? Because without the right kind of stars aligning,
Yes.
Ketchumos is a bit of a liability where you play it on
Absolutely.
3, it does nothing.
Absolutely.
Or maybe your life total's too low.
Yeah.
And like I've seen before where your opponent can burn you out with your own Ketchumos by just like
Yeah.
exiling a bunch of stuff at once, right?
I think in my perspective, I would side in the Ketchumos only because there are 2 Teferi Time Ravelers in the main deck of Stuart's list. And if you just play Psychic Frog Ketchumos, it's decently respectable.
Yes.
Right? Like, so let's see how things line up. But you'd obviously have to follow it up with some level of removal from Stuart's side. But let's see how Zach is going to progress this on the play. So he's on the play again.
Yeah.
So let's see what happens. And it looks like there was a mulligan this time.
Yeah, Stuart might still be humming and hawing his hand since he's on the draw, right? So he can choose. He still has time to decide his mulligan before, you know, Zach locks in his 6. But generally, putting your hand down in a pile means that you're gonna keep it.
Yeah.
Also, I love Stuart for being himself. Look at that playmat. The man loves K-pop, let me tell you. Those are his idols right there. They're going to ferry him to the RCQ invite. Living the dream. You know, I was telling my wife the other day that K-pop to me is what Pokemon was to my parents.
Oh.
Where, like, I'm aware it exists and I can name some stuff from it, but it's all going to be wrong. You know, like I'm like, oh yes, every group.
I think those are the only
every group is
axes that would
Blackpink,
be
you know?
similar, but okay, yeah.
Yeah. It's just like that gap of knowledge
Yes.
where it's like, ah yes, these 4 Korean singers, that's got to be Blackpink, right? They're
Oh, it was just
no,
like
it's a
my
different
niece
group.
showed me the darn Nintendo Switch, and now I bought one. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't even know the previous one existed. I was like, this is nuts. Yeah. Yeah. Call out to the N64 days.
Yeah. All right, Zach on 6.
I think it's 5 now. I think he actually
5
took
now?
another mulligan.
Another one?
Yeah,
Full.
yeah, I think he presented his deck back to his opponent, so.
Yeah, unfortunately,
What's the
Prowess
best
I think
5?
is a
The
deck.
best 5 is Spell Pierce, Swiss Beer.
Bauble.
No, actually, it's probably Channeler Bauble.
Channeler Bauble. Yeah, Channeler. Yeah, Channeler Bauble, Spell Pierce, Land.
And I think there's a shuffling going on, so this is potentially
Literally,
a
maybe
multi-4.
anything else.
Yeah, Channeler Bauble, Land, Spell Pierce is probably your best opening if this is a multi-4, which I believe it is.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, every deck mulligans a little better and a little worse than every other deck. And I think
Yeah.
Prowess is a deck that mulligans very poorly. So I mean, like, it is a deck about maximizing the, you know, because the like 10 effective cards that you get over your 3 turns, right?
Yes.
With your 7 opens and then your 3 draws, or
Yeah.
whatever, more or
Yeah,
less.
Expressive Iteration is a
Right.
recovery tool against multiple fatal pushes. It's not
Yes.
exactly an enabler in order for you to progress your board state to increase the damage output.
Yeah.
It's more of a recovery tool for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I saw Channeler, and
Chandler- I saw Chandler land.
that's my homeboy from MH2. Okay, like that.
Stick card's still good.
Like I don't know.
How do you feel about Watsy putting what feels like all of Izzet Prowess in these fucking Secret Lair Showdown events? Like, I feel like it was Chandler and Murktide and Ragavan.
I am so sad that secret lair that you can purchase on the website with that amazing
that
Dragon
one,
Rage Channeler
where
art.
one has Chandler, the other one has Bauble or
Yeah,
Lavender, or whatever,
why?
they split it up.
Why?
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Wizards.
look, you know why. I mean, I know why you're saying why, but we know why.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, well, now you gotta buy both. Why would you buy one Secret
And I
Lair when
just
you
won't.
could buy 2? Yeah.
And I just won't. And then I'll stare at those Dragon Rage Channelers when they become $50. I'll be like,
Yeah.
I should have got you.
I should have, yeah.
Because like, what's the other bad cards like Lava Spike and like?
It's like some of the burn
Rift Lightning or
spells,
something,
Yeah,
like-
Rift Bolt maybe, yeah.
It's not even.
Bolt Wave or something.
It's like aspiring Spike design these things. Come on, man.
yeah,
Give us a bone.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Stuart just wants to play his 7 cards against his opponent's 3.
Yeah. Opponents in the tank.
Yeah. And I would be as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What deck do you believe mulligan's the best in the format right now?
Let me take a look at the old.
Modern metagame.
Yeah, let me make sure I know what I'm talking about here.
I have a very good idea about 2 specific decks.
All right. Modern, show me modern. I mean, surely Amulet Titan mulligans pretty well.
That's one of them.
Right?
That's one of them for
I'm
me.
leaning towards like the combo decks because you
Yeah.
really only need a certain number of cards to win.
I was very specifically thinking Boros and Amulet.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was leaning towards Boros as well.
Yeah.
Because so many of their cards do the same thing.
I think Boros' threats are just so high impact.
Yes.
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Like
it does feel like that. Well, like the other thing is like, what hands do you mulligan from Boros? Just the ones that you can't literally play.
yeah.
Like all your hands seem like nut draws.
100%. It's like when you run 12 1-drops. Like,
Yes.
Like
when you
12
open your hands, see like 2 lands, couple 1-drops, couple 2-drops. You're like, I don't care if they are.
Yeah.
You just
have to
play
learn how
it.
to sequence them correctly.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. For sure.
Right? Like maybe if your 1-drops are like double or static prison, discharge, and your 2-drops are like bombardment.
But even those are good in some
else, but
matchups. Like I just like
even that anything off the top is just crazy.
and then you're like Flage.
Yeah.
So to me,
It just doesn't
it has to
matter.
be that. Okay, so
But yeah,
So after
Zach
the Mind
does,
Rot, yeah,
it
so
does
Zach-
start with the fetch channeler.
Yeah.
But Stuart's ready this time. He's got old prismatic ending. Yeah, put that channeler in the exile zone.
Stuart is forcing Zach to play like I play, where Exile is in the front of the library.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm too
Keep it
used
separate.
I'm too used to playing against these guys. You have to do the same way.
Yeah, you gotta. This is probably archaeologist. Oh no,
No,
just frog.
100% frog. See, and this is where I think like the potential strategy of playing Ketchumos into this situation is way stronger than we may realize. Like, hey, double channeler off a small mulligan here.
Yeah.
I don't think we can complain about that. And you know what? Props to Zach if he was patient with that bobble. Props, because it's a very difficult situation. Just be like, well, we'll see what happens, right?
Taking a look at Stuart's card. It looked like might have been Grizzy B on top.
That'll go to the graveyard right quick. Psychic Frog's hungry.
Yup. Yum yum yum.
So bubble trigger.
This could be a really quick match here with Stuart
Well,
just rips.
Stuart drew, so I believe Zach has missed his bubble trigger now.
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless it was upkeep.
No, yeah. I think Stuart was even inclining to
Just
like,
unlocked.
yeah.
How about another ending for the next channeler? Let's put another channeler in the
Exile.
channeler pile.
Yeah.
Yeah, put that over there. Well, I'm gonna discard this big fatty, this little froggy, and then I'd like to draw a card.
Well, there's no non-delirious unholy heat, and there's no lightning bolt because you would have done that previous to the lightning
Yes.
bolt to force multiple discards.
Yes.
And then you'd be able to potentially gain some card neutrality in this situation, but it's still too difficult.
Surgical now.
Ooh. Okay.
But the hard part here is that Stuart has both Grizzlebrand and Atraxa.
I would
So,
choose
I mean,
Atraxa.
like you have to pick Atraxa.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
You could potentially misplay with Grizzlebrand. You can't with Atraxa.
but of course Stuart's got the heads-up play of actually I think my frog wants to jump.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
My frog wants to jump around, which is like frog looks really, really good in Goryo. It's like it
Oh, for
really
sure.
stretches the card like to its limit. It uses all the text like very effectively.
Yeah.
Right, where it's like
Yeah.
it's jumping, it's like the counter surgical card, right? Where it's like the one you have 3 cards in library frog just says counterpoint surgical.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
absolutely insane. But yeah, there's Flagi. All right, so Stuart does not have the Goryos quite yet.
Oh, Wrap This Guy seems perfect.
Rant seems pretty good.
I don't think there's going to be many Corey Steel Cutters entering play next turn, but
All right, so
yeah,
that's it. Zach's
It's
like-
unfortunate. It's just
He just mugged to oblivion. He kept
Yeah.
Let's say he kept Chandler, Bobble, Surgical Land.
Yeah, but you know what? Hats off to Zach. Obviously,
Yes.
obviously just played to his outs the best he could.
Yes.
And that's.
Sometimes you just gotta, give it the old college try.
I'm
see
actually
what
interested
happens,
to see
right?
how the Sprite Dragon performs for the rest
Me
of the day.
too, me too. Yeah, no, I'm sad that we didn't see it.
Yeah.
Because, right, Sprite Dragon being a
'Cause
less
I-
explosive card
Yeah.
than Slick Shot, but more staying power.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, like it actually has more. There's definitely more board presence. It's
Yes.
less of a race tool, right? Like, yeah.
It's less of the here's my 3 spells, Slick Shot, Dome
Yeah.
for 7,
Yeah.
whatever, right? It's more like, hey, here's my 4/4 flyer, right? Next turn it's going to be, a couple,
Yeah.
2 counters bigger.
Do you
plus
think
spell
Sprite Dragon's
damage.
better in the mirror?
No.
You don't think so?
I don't think so because
All
it
you need is
doesn't-
2 counters, and you're not forced to play more spells to trade up.
Yeah,
Against,
so
like,
that's-
say,
that-
against,
that's the
against.
upside,
Yeah, like.
The downside is that it's very easy for Slick Shot to trade off with a Sprite Dragon. You can-
Yes, it's
right?
inverse. Like,
Yes.
like the situation could be inverse based on like what
Yes.
what the entire rest of the situation
Right,
is.
we're like, sure. Once you get 1 counter on, Sprite Dragon always trades with
Yeah.
Slick Shot, but Slick Shot needs you need
1
twice
spell.
as many total spells,
Yes.
in a single turn for your Sprite Dragon to
To
always
survive.
beat
Yes, yeah,
a Slick Shot, right?
Because I'm starting to think that this Sprite Dragon may have more value than we realize, just based on it's good against the other red removal spells.
it is. It
Like,
is. It is.
it's obviously just equally as bad against black. So if I was to register Sprite Dragon, I wouldn't be like, I want to play against Psychic Frog all day, because that's probably not what you're saying.
Yeah, right. And I'd be like, Sprite Dragon also has a little bit of weakness if you're forced to just play it on turn 2 without a trigger.
Yeah.
'Cause I feel like a lot of the other Prowess decks that Zach isn't playing is Lava Dart. And if your dragon gets
we have
darted-
Lava Dart, though.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
we
so
do-
then,
we do.
So then he knows that.
Yeah,
That the other Prowess decks are also going to be on Lava Dart.
Yeah.
And so, maybe that's just a sequencing issue where you can only really play Sprite Dragon if you have a bobble ready to save it, right? Because there's just kind of the double break point of you need Sprite Dragon out of 1 to dodge Lava Dart and then over 3 to dodge Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, I think the older versions of Prowess, when they actually ran 1 to 2 copies of Gut Shot, exemplified how good the Stormwing entity and the Sprite Dragon were back then.
Yes.
Because it enabled you to have more than 4 Phyrexian spells to counter a Lightning Bolt. So essentially they were mental misstep, right?
Yes,
In that
yes,
format,
totally,
they were
totally.
mental misstep.
Yes.
With the prevalence of just Boros energy, I don't know how effective that card would be, but again, I'm interested to see how it turns out. But I think there's actually some value to trying out something like this.
I just gotta get these pictures.
Yeah. So yeah. No. So that's round 1.
That's round 1.
We'll